My name is Ron Thibault, and I've been a Christian for about 52 years. They tell me I'm older than dirt, but I'm 85. Before Christ, my life, you might say, was life in a fast lane. I was on a fast track to nowhere. I didn't know where I came from, didn't know where I was at, had no goals in life. I was brought up in a particular denomination that I really didn't believe much of. And if there was a God, leave me alone, I leave you alone, we'll get along fine. And living life in a fast lane, on a fast track to nowhere, can create an awful lot of problems. I got involved in alcohol, didn't make any difference what it was. I started to go to this program for booze. I'd sober up, and then I go back out again. It's been over 50 years since I had a drink. And one of my sons just a couple of weeks ago said, "Dad, you must be out of the woods, huh? It must feel good." And I told him, "You know what, son? Every day, some days are better than others, but the booze is right there." But that's a message for a whole different time. I got up one morning and I says, I was sober about 1.5 years. I got up one morning and I said, this is going to stop. My life is miserable. Who is this God that I hear about? I said, "God, if you're real, you're going to do something in my life. Because if you don't, I'm going to go out on another drunk. I'm going to stay there until the end." So I went to work and I didn't think much about it. Until that night I was on my way out and I see these two guys knocking at the door. Keep on going, and something. And we lived in a horseshoe. And I was telling my wife, I says, "I wonder what those guys are selling." She says, "Well, whatever they're selling, you're going to buy it. So go ahead and then come on by." I was going to a meeting. I said, "No, I got to wait and see what they're selling." So they come around, they came to me, they offered me a tract, said we're from Twin City Baptist Temple. Now I have a very bad memory. And when I say bad, I mean bad. But that night, I remember it was a Wednesday. It was in the month of August. One guy's name was John, and the other guy, he was a major in the Army. Handed me the tract, and he said, I said, "What is it?" And they started to walk away, and I said, "Hey, come back here. What is this?" So I don't remember what they said. I said, "I'll tell you what. You can go in there, talk to the wife and the kids. And if you're still here when I come back, I'll talk to you." And I left. I came back, and they were still there. Now, this is about 9 o'clock. said, hey, I got to get up to go to work, But we kept him there till about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we had questions. Lots and lots of questions. So I said, I tell you what, I go to this church here Sunday. My wife said, well, if you're going, I want to go. And the kid said, well, if you're going, we want to go. Even the kids were representing. Following Sunday, I went down. Now, I never knew what a preacher was. I didn't know if he was green or purple. I didn't know if he had 2 heads or 3. So we pull up to this little thing. It was the Odd Fellows Hall at the time. And here's this guy, he's standing at the bottom of the stairs. He shakes my hand, he says, you must be the Thibault family. Huh, who's this guy? I don't know him, but he knows me. Okay. So I went upstairs, and now I find out that's what a preacher looks like. He's not green, doesn't have 2 heads. He almost looks human. Now some people can sober up at the altar, and that's a good thing. I know a few people that have. Other people need a little bit more than that. Anyway, time goes on, and I really wanted to really know more about this God. I wasn't satisfied yet. I've accepted Jesus, got baptized, but I wanted to know more. I couldn't afford to go to Bible college, so he says, well, why don't you take a Bible college course at home? I said, oh. And at the time, they didn't have computers, so everything was books and cassette tapes. And I took the course from Liberty Bible Institute. Cost me about $1,200. And it took me 5 years to complete that course. Anyway, I complete the course, and now I said, I wonder what God's going to use me. Now, this is where it really gets crazy. Because I told God, if I'm ever going to be a preacher, here's the deal. I want a little church. I only want 10, 15, 20 people, because the bigger the church, the bigger the problems. And I want it in the country. Those were the conditions. So time goes on, and now there was a prison ministry that was going to open up, and I watched these guys go down to the jailhouse, and they were going like a house of fire. And I said to myself, they're spinning their wheels. Now, before I got involved in the prison, which is coming up, I was involved with the prisons before I even got saved. And I had made myself a promise I was never going to go back to the jails again. So I watched these people go down to jails, and then sure enough, they started to, it didn't take very long either. I'm sitting there in service one day, and he says, you're going down to the jailhouse. I'm hearing voices. The following week, There's this voice again. They're going down to jailhouse. I said, I'm losing it. I'll be all right. On the third week, he says, now hear this. You're going to go down to jailhouse. And you're going to tell them about me. And you're going to go down there voluntarily, or I'm going to put you in there involuntarily, but either way, you're going. Now, big wheels start to turn. I might as well go in there voluntarily. That way there, if I go in there voluntarily, I can walk out again. If I go in there involuntarily, I'm going in, but I'm not walking out. Now I remember Jonah. Now Jonah wasn't too bright. When God told him, hey, you're going to Nineveh to tell them about me. No, Jonah tells, no, I got a better idea. And he went in the other direction. He gets swallowed up by the fish. See, what Jonah did is Jonah took the scenic route. And after the whale swallowed him up, and after 3 days, even the whale couldn't put up with Jonah anymore. So he puked him up on the shore. Where? Right where he was supposed to go to begin with. So see, I do remember stuff once in a while. So I says, I'm not taking the scenic route. Now here's the interesting part. I wanted a little church. So what did I get? I got a little chapel. I wanted it in the country. And where's the jails? On the outside of the city. So is the country. I didn't want a big congregation, so how many inmates did I have? About 15 or 20. And then I say, hey, you know, this isn't really what I had in mind. He says, hey, you asked for a small church, 15, 20 people in the country. I'm giving you what you want. What do you want? It's a terrible price to pay to do your own thing. You young people can save yourself a lot of grief. Get into the Word of God. You ask God for help, and He'll help you. It's sad. Wasted years. There was times I used to be happy that, you know, walking out of the jails, and there was other times it would really get to me. In case you're wondering how many people in jail in this country, last count, about 1.5 million people in jail in this country today. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of misery. That's a lot of heartaches and tears. That's enough of that. Without Jesus Christ in my life, I don't even want to think of where I'd be. Chances are I would never be on planet Earth today. When people hit the cemetery, there's no more. The ball game's over. People say, I'll wait till I get old, and then I'll accept the Lord. Today is the day of salvation. Did it ever dawn on you why it says today is the day of salvation? Because that's all you got. You got no guarantee for tomorrow. Whoever gave you a guarantee for tomorrow? Anybody, if you want to get into the ministry or you don't know what you want in life, you ask God and you pray about it. You pray about it. It took me a long time before God answered my prayers. Life has never been the same. All my 3 kids went to Christian school. Now listen to this, right? Just because I stopped those people, look what happened. All my 3 kids went to Christian school. 2 boys went in the Marines. Daughter went to Bible college and became a teacher in a Christian school. My grandchildren grew up, my daughter's kids. One of them is married to a preacher today. The other one is he's not a preacher, but they're into Scripture. It's amazing. If you're sincere enough, you young people want to get into ministry, you want to turn your life around before it's too late, you ask Jesus Christ to come into your life. And I guarantee you, He will. I used to have a thing, when I used to think I had a, in a tight spot, I used to say, hey, God, I want to see how you're going to pull this off. Absolutely amazing on how He pulls it off. Not in the way you think it should be, but it's a lot better than you thought it would be. Things happen the way they did. Sometimes you don't know till years later. God had a plan. I didn't know His plan, but I know one thing, His plan was better than mine. And I still married to the same girl. Hey, we had some rough times. My name is Ron Thibault, and I'm 85 years old. Been a Christian for over 50 years. Still married to the same woman, 64 years. Some people say that's insanity. Well, I gotta admit, she's still watching out for my best interests. Still a thorn in my side every once in a while. But still that rose of my life. Thorns and all. I'm not sorry one bit that even with all my doubts and lack of understanding, Christ still puts up with me, still forgives me. I can talk to Him any time of the day. I don't have to make an appointment. If I call Him up, He doesn't put me on hold. Go down the pathway of life. But I found out one thing. Don't plan on walking down the pathway of life with God in one hand and the devil in the other hand and think everything's going to be all right. It's not going to happen because you're not going to serve 2 masters. You're going to serve one and hate the other. Hang on to the master that has your best interest at heart. And never be sorry in this life or the life to come. And that's the way it is.